Are you ready to sit down and listen to a tale and a story of a man who has played older games far and wide to brand new games? A man who is ready to give you the best Mount Rushmore that he possibly can. Well, let him put on his robes and give you his story. How should I feel? Should I feel like this the whole time? Give him that L treatment. What is up, everyone? This is your fellow Undead Ninja here, and I just want to say welcome to my channel. So today, I have decided that I want to come up with a Mount Rushmore, alright? So, to put it in perspective, a Mount Rushmore is a mountain that's in America, right, with our four quotation greatest of presidents, right? And the term Mount Rushmore is to be used for when someone has I guess, their top, you know, the person that they make a mountain, kind of like a Hokage mountain, right, if you're into anime. So we're jumping straight into the video, and, you know, why not, right? This is the week of Thanksgiving, and I just want to let you know that I'm thankful for you, the game community, and every game that I've played, right, that's brought me to this point in life. Broken this into four categories. The first category being the impact of the game and what it meant to me. The second one is where I was in life, you know, why was this such an important thing. The third being how this changed how I looked at games going forward, and the fourth being why I love the game. As I said before, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 choices. So let's get into the first one. So for my people who've known me for a long time, the first instinct to say is Halo Reach would be on my top Mount Rushmore because it's my favorite game in the Halo franchise, that is. However, that's not the case. I mean, yes, the story's great, the characters you fall in love with, and at the end you find yourself being alone, right? The whole thing that you say said to you in the first mission is that we're no longer lone wolf, and yet we still end up being that at the end. I mean, don't get me wrong, the story has impacted me so much and so far in between. However, there's one game that's affected me more in the Halo franchise that I had to choose, and that was Halo 3. So you're going to hear my son in the background, and that's okay because I love my little boy. So, first thing, right? What was the impact of the game to me, right? And the impact of this game was very, very broad, okay? This game is what made me inspired to get into the Halo franchise. And the reason why I did that was I was with my cousin, right? So this kind of digs into part 2 a little bit. So I was with my cousin at the age of 6 or 7. But the reason it was such an impact is because I had that memory, right? It was about 2007, 2008 when I got into it. And we did a lot of social games. We did a lot of multiplayer. I played the campaign. I did all that stuff with my cousin. And sadly, I was too young to understand what was going on and all that nature. However, the memories stayed. Alright, so when I first got my Xbox 360, late to the party actually, I think it was 2010, 2011-ish. And when I got it, it was one of my first games that I bought. And even from then, the fan base was phenomenal. Everybody still played. I continued to play. It was just great all around. The third reason is how this changed other games going forward to me. Okay, so it changed a lot of mindset and aspect that I had going towards other games because it was something that I craved for with the story. This this story to me was the beginning and the end, right? Of course, I never completed all of the master challenges, but having some of them done, and then also getting the Hayabusa armor and all these things that combined together is what made it so great. The fourth reason why I love the game, okay? The game itself strived off of Master Chief. It strived off to be the end of his era. And you might be like, well, what's the significance of that since you didn't really play much of CE and Halo 2, right? Well, the reason why it was so important for me was you can tell that you didn't know what was going to happen to Chief after that. You don't know if it was going to continue. You don't know if this is the complete life cycle of the game, right? And then Halo Reach came out, and that was phenomenal. However, this game is the game that got me into Halo, and that's why it is at my Mount Rushmore, the #1 spot. Also, can I point out the graphics for Halo 3? I mean, this game, like I said, came out in 2007. The graphics still hold up to this date. Like, great. But I think it was also the friends that I made along the way. Half of my Xbox friends were people I met in Halo 3 that were around my age at the time. Some a few years younger, a few years older. Just people who continuously played the game. And a lot of people chose it as their last game to play when the server shut down. Me, I didn't have a copy, or else I would have. But instead, I chose Halo Reach, because that I did have a copy of. And that, it's one of those heartfelt games to me. It will always hold a special place, because that, like I said, that's what got me into Halo, was that game. And then finally being able to play it with friends, finally learning the story, and then continuing forward with Halo Reach, and then coming back to play the other two games. So now we got our first one on the Mount Rushmore. Let's get to our second one. So I know that I showed Assassin's Creed 2 first, once again, like I did with Halo Reach and Halo 3, but the reason why I showed that first is because that's a favorite for a lot of people's game. And this probably would have been my Mount Rushmore over Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. However, when I looked at it at a broader term, I had 4 games that I got with my 360 when I first got it, being Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Assassin's Creed 2, and a monster truck game. Okay. However, I made the mistake of not knowing that they didn't have a buffer pad around the pin, so when you moved the 360, it would ruin your disc. I was from a PlayStation 2 before this. And so when we get into Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and the reason why it had such an impact towards me and the impact of the game was because it fit who I was. And what I mean by that is I've always been a social man. However, I've always also been a man of stealth, agility, and of how to, I guess, be the sniper of the class, be the rogue, be the person who's going to have your back from a distance or up close and personal without people being there. And this game is all about that. It's all about blending in with your crowd. It's all about going around and trying not to alert guards. And another thing with this game, with being Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, is you were able to recruit people. You were able to build up the assassins and build up the creed itself. So I kind of talked about here a little bit of where I was in life, okay? I was a kid in elementary school, I just had moved to a new school, a new state, and kind of similar to where I was when I replayed Halo 3. And with this game, though, it helped me understand a little bit more because I was older to understand the story a bit more. And so it showed me how to be there for your friends, but also make sure that the man who hurts your family is taken care of, right? But along the way, it showed like how I was going to be towards my friends and how I would try and help them along the way. Not saying we won't fight, not saying, sometimes we grow apart, but loyalty in this game is what showed me loyalty. So this changed a lot of other games going forward for me. And the reason why it did that is because there were a lot of games that didn't care about their story. But around this time, there were a lot of games with a lot of story. And this changed the fact that it made me want to grab the games after and the game before. For instance, when I finally had the opportunity, I was able to get Assassin's Creed 2. And then when I was able to when it released, I was able to get Assassin's Creed Revelations. Also, Walmart, you messed up on that day because I was able to get that for $40 because you messed up the tag. I don't know if they do that anymore, but I got lucky. I'll put it that way. Why do I love this game? And the simple answer is because it's amazing. So, to put it in perspective, okay, I love this game because you had the social interaction with multiplayer. And then on top of having that, you also had the story. And the story was, from start to finish, was crazy because it picks up right after Assassin's Creed 2. And even though it picks up right after that, you can still start there. And it's a weird combination like that. However, I will admit it was a lot shorter than the other games. However, even though in its short time, it was able to make the game so impactful. And what I mean by that is it was able to bring in like, okay, we need to build the Creed. On top of building the Creed, we need to make the Creed sustainable. And on top of all of that, you have all these great missions in between where you're trying to get the man who hurt your uncle. You're trying to get the man who destroyed your life at the beginning. At the same time, you get to see the other people's perspective and the villains and why the antagonists here are part of the problem and why they're a problem to each other.
You're pathetic, Lucrezia. What did he talk about? His plans for Napoli? Did you like it? I can't remember.
Welcome to the game that I probably played the most in my whole childhood. Star Wars Battlefront 2 2005, I would have to say is up there with one of my all-time favorite games. And this game right here was such an impact to me because it was what I wanted in life. What I mean by that is I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. Always been. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, was my favorite Star Wars movie. And this game brought all of that into a video game. And not only that, it expanded on the lore. Okay, you had stories that came from this game that happened with the 501st being in Magneto. It had stories of where you were with fighting the Jedi for Execute Order 66. And such a broad, like, lore. And then on top of it, the single player that you could have with being able to have conquest and this is probably the reason why I love the game Risk and all that, is because with Conquest, you pick your moves, you use your credits, eventually you can use these bonuses. It's like you're actually in a war trying to stop whoever the enemy is. And that was something that was crazy, because if you lost, then you lost your troops, man. If you lost your home world, you lost your home world. But then you could go back and take it back. So where I was in life was I was a kid. So between these two games, it was between Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Star Wars The Force Unleashed, I played every ounce of the game. Loved it. However, this game was a game that even when I got my 360, that I went back to play. Like, I would plug in my PS2 for this reason. And that says a lot to me. But I think it's just even crazier because, like, you hear a lot of different things with this game. I guess, like, let's go to topic number 3 in this situation. It affected every game forward, not just from my perspective, but when the other Battlefront came out, it was a disappointment. When the remastered Battlefront came out, it was a disappointment. And it's all because we looked back at this game right here. We look back at Battlefront 2, 2005. I absolutely love this game. This game, like I said, was one of my first games that got me into gaming in general. It's probably the reason why I got into first person and third person shooters. Because I don't know if you knew this, but you can switch your view in the game. And it was crazy because I ended up getting Battlefield later on, and all these interactive games that mattered, because guess what? The Separatists have a tank over there while you're a clone trooper trying to run away and get the command post. But at the same time, you're also trying to make sure nobody kills your troops, because if they do, then you're losing. And then, like I said, with Conquest being like the main attraction to this game, if you lose your ship, there ain't nobody guarding. So they really put a lot of detail into the fan service and for people to play the game. So I think it'd be everybody else's surprise if this game wasn't in my Mount Rushmore. As I said in my very first video that I made on this YouTube channel that wasn't a short, I've completed this game 100%. The only game that I came close to beating 100% before this was Halo 3. And I gotta say, this game was a game that opened up my eyes to the world, alright? So, we act like how this game impacted me. And it impacted me a lot because it showed me a whole new world when it came to video games. It showed me that I can love games with my own heart. Whatever choice that I make later on is what comes in. And so where I was in life was, I actually didn't get the game when it first came out on 11/11/11. Okay, I got the game. I got the game in baby break. Anyways, so I got the game a year after, and I remember at the time my friend, he told me this game will change your life, and I did not expect it, and he truly meant it. Oh gosh, okay. So, yeah, he truly meant it. And so, like I said, I was about the age of 12. 13, 12. Somewhere around there. Anyways, I got the opportunity to play this game. I finally bought it, and I was like, all right, let's give this a shot. And, I mean, I have a funny story. Is at the beginning, I thought the arrows meant something that it totally meant. And anybody with an arrow over their head, I would attack. So, like, I wasn't even... I wasn't able to complete the first mission off the bat because of it. This changed other games going forward for me because it's a game that taught me, I guess in quotation, free will. And what I mean by that from a video game standpoint is it taught me how my choices can affect other things. And how if I uninstall someone forcefully from the game with my sword, particularly, then it showed what could happen later. And I kind of fell into a trap because, like I said, I'm the sneaky guy, the rogue. I became a stealth archer, right? So it taught me how to join guilds and how the impact of everything happens afterwards. However, not only did that happen, but this game is what got me into finding out lores and stories of other video games. How did this game change everything going forward about other games? Well, it made me want to learn more and dig down deeper more and learn the lore and story of other games. Such as, I went back and learned Halo lore. I went back and learned Assassin's Creed lore. So this one was the one that started it all when it came to stories. And I think that's why it has such a major impact for me. And then to top it off later on, they added mods to consoles. And this game, I bought every console that I possibly could for it. And then when it brought mods, I was able to bring other aspects of all the other games that I play into it while having my own. I mean, the only thing that I really ever got mod-wise were immersion mods and house mods. And then clothing mods. I started with having Assassin's Creed in my recent ones, right? But why do I love this game so much? Well, the reason why I love this game is because it was such a great game. It was great to learn the culture. It was great to learn what it meant to be Dragonborn. And I know a lot of people were like, well, you didn't play Morrowind, you didn't play Oblivion. How would that make you feel? You know, like, maybe those games are way better. And it's like, yeah, they could be better. But this is the game I start with. And this is the game that gave me such heartfelt moments. And a game that showed me what it's like and how your options become reality. And sadly, it also shows that sometimes you make mistakes and your mistakes have consequences. Another reason is that this game just blew me visually, okay? Like, I loved the visual aspect of this game. I loved being able to walk in the mountains, walk in the fields, and have all these opportunities to, like, engrave myself into the game. And then on top of it, you have all these other interactions with all these other NPCs. You know, like, you can help Mule, you can help Ayla, you can help all these people, and you have all these romance options too. So at the end of the day, you end up having a family. So we have finally completed the Mount Rushmore, or at least the Undead Ninja's Mount Rushmore. And honestly, I could have picked multiple games, and there's quite a few honorable mentions if I wanted to dive deeper into it. But I'd have to say these 4 games right here are what truly made the Undead Ninja the Undead Ninja. And there's nothing more to say about it. Skyrim had the roleplay aspect. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood taught me so much about loyalty and what I would do for people. Battlefront 2 just showed the undying nature of how I would be if I was a clone trooper. And just also the connection that I had with it in Star Wars. And then Halo 3 was just such a game dearest to my heart because it's what started me off in the Halo franchise. And the fact that I was able to have all these things with my friends, with people I met, and with, I guess, the social aspect of everything that got me away from reality. Thanks for coming to my video. Like I said, this is Thanksgiving week, so this video is probably going to come out a lot later than I expected, but I'll make sure it's out on Friday. And to top it off, thank you all for being here, subscribing, liking, and all that you can do for the channel. And I appreciate every single one of you. And I appreciate my wife for letting me do this in her, her little gaming area, which happens to be in my room. I'm thankful for my many kids that I have, especially that little baby boy back there who put in his input during the video. And thank you all. Remember to stay in the shadows. Take care.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one.